Mm. Hello, I'm Jun Chao and we are Group 19. And my partners are Luke George and Bo Yiwang. Our presentation is mainly talking about how our group estimates the future of the Australian department store. So a department store is a retail establishment offering a wide range of consumer goods in different product categories. The department stores industry is now highly concentrated, and the top four majors in Australia are Wesfarmers, Woolworths, Mary's, and David Jones. In this industry, there are mainly two obvious characteristics. The first is high barriers to entry. Because industry concentrations remain strong and they can use economics of scale to achieve and maintain profitability. The second is department stores requires large amounts of the retail space in lots of locations in the Australian market. For example, retail space is extremely rare and keep competitors out of the industry. This graph shows sales turnovers in the Australian retail department stores industry, and data is from Australian Bureau of Statistics. You can see in 2011 there exists a deep falling of sales turnover. It is because the European sovereign debt crisis, which caused a weak retail environment and low consumer confidence following instability in global financial markets. Now, the industry will also face increased competition from online retailers such as Amazon. Furthermore, the industry has entered into the major of the stage of its life cycle, and there has been some merger and acquisition activity over the past 5 years. Another point that attracted our attentions are the increasing trend period from 2014 to 2015. However, even the record low interest rates in 2014, the sales turnover is still lower than expectations. In this presentation, we'll take David Jones and Woolworths as examples to show the trend of the industry. There are plenty of the restructuring activities that happened during the past 5 years, which reflect financial strategies of these companies and the trend of the industry. David Jones has restructured its operations and was acquired by Woolworths Holdings in 2014. Therefore, our presentation has four parts: introduction by me, financial analysis by Luke, recommendation and conclusions by Bo Yiwang. So let's welcome Luke to do the data analysis.
Hi, I'll be talking about the financial statements and financial ratios for Woolworths Holdings Limited. First, we have the balance sheet. So we sourced all of our financial statements from Morningstar, and we were able to get information back to 2012. So what we did was we calculated the growth rate in between the years to calculate the average growth rate and use this to forecast for 2017. The financial statements were too large to fit into a PowerPoint slide, so what we did is we cropped them down and fit in the most important information. As we can see here, the two most important parts that stood out to me in the balance sheet were total current assets and total current liabilities, but we'll come back to that soon when we talk about the financial ratios. Same goes for the income statement, and the two parts that stood out to me the most were the net sales and cost of goods sold, and again we'll come back to that soon. Finally, we have the cash flow statement. So when we calculated the forecasts for all three of the financial statements, we were able to recalculate the financial ratios. Morningstar gave us the financial ratios for 2012 all the way to 2016, but using the forecasted financial statements, we're able to recalculate all the ratios for 2017. And being a new analyst in the retail sector, the financial ratios that stood out to me the most were these. So first of all, we have the profitability ratios. The first two, return on invested capital and return on assets, both decrease. This essentially means that Woolworths are less able to turn their invested capital or their debt and equity and less able to turn their assets into profit, which is a negative, but a positive is their gross margin increases. If we go back to the income statement, we can see that their net sales increases by 23.3% while their cost of goods sold only increases by 20.2%. So this means that Woolworths are able to retain more out of the dollar of sales than they were before, and more left over for profit. Next we have the liquidity ratios. First we have the current ratio, which actually decreases slightly. And if we go to the balance sheet, we can see that total current assets increases by 38.2%, while the total current liabilities increases by 49.2%. So the current liabilities increases more than the current assets, which decreases the current ratio. This essentially means that Woolworths are less able to meet their current debts when they fall due, but it's only a slight decrease, and it's outweighed by the increase in free cash flow to net income. So this essentially means that Woolworths are more able to turn their net income into cash, which just essentially means they're more liquid. So this much and far outweighs the decrease in current ratio. Last of all, we have the shareholder safety ratio, which is book value per share. So this essentially is the level of security per share in the company. So the higher the book value, the more a shareholder gets if the business decides to liquidate. So the higher the ratio, the better for the shareholder. And the book value per share has increased all the way to 29.29%. So looking at this as a new analyst in the retail sector, I can see that profitability is evening out and it's good, quite stable for the future. So is liquidity, and shareholder safety is only increasing.
In this section, I will justify our group's focus and give recommendations about future development of department store. I will first explain why David Jones was merged by Woolworths Holdings Limited in 2014. The first reason about David Jones' decreasing profitability is the competition from online shopping and discount bulky goods retailers. A relatively high price and the failure of David Jones Online makes David Jones lost its competitiveness. Another reason why David Jones was merged is the failure of the investment in food retailing. The establishment of food chain didn't get sufficient profit for the company. It succeeded in Sydney, but it couldn't get enough profit in other cities. The third reason why David Jones was merged is its failure financial decision. It entered into sales and leaseback facility for its 3 flagship stores. The financial decision has significant influence on the company's cash flow. Due to these 3 reasons, the David Jones was finally merged by Woolworths Holdings Limited. Then, I will explain the focus of Woolworths sales revenue increase and the future trend of department store. After 2014, David Jones has become the sub-brand of Woolworths Holdings Limited, and Woolworths got substantial benefit from the acquisition of David Jones. As my group made mention in previous sections, the Woolworths sales revenue has increased significantly in recent years. A successful strategy is the main reason for Woolworths' rapid development. Woolworths focused on the global business layout. The merger of David Jones could be one of the practice of its strategy. Furthermore, Woolworths operates in several market segments, which includes clothing, houseware, beauty, and other lifestyle products. Different market segments could attract customers from different social classes. Although Woolworths got hugely successful in recent years and its sales could still increase in next years, the development of the whole industry suffered a lot in recent years. The sales of Australian department stores show a downward trend. The competition from online shopping and the change of consumers' ideas and their consumption ability could be the main reasons for the negative focus of the industry. The development of online shopping will reduce the sales revenue of department store. Moreover, the decrease of consumers' consumption ability will reduce the domestic purchase and therefore influence industry development. Finally, I will draw a brief conclusion for the analysis and give some recommendations to the department stores. The presentation has used David Jones as an example to analyze the future of department store. David Jones was merged by Woolworths Holding Limits in 2014 because of its failure strategies. The sales of department store will still fluctuate in the future, and the sales revenue will decrease due to the competition and the change of consumption situations. We will give 3 recommendations to a department store. Firstly, a department store should provide more souvenirs to attract tourists from emerging markets. Secondly, the department store should combine online shopping with entity stores' products. The customers could try the products in the entity store and buy it from the internet. Finally, the department store should strengthen the global business layout. The success of Woolworths Holding Limit is a good example of global business layout.